up, everyone? Hope we're all doing well. Bo Nickel isn't, because he's no longer undefeated and got twatted by Rainier Derrida. So in case you aren't up to date, Bo Nickel last night took on Rainier Derrida and he got absolutely pummeled in the second round. In the first round, it was somewhat competitive, but I'd still say that Rainier Derrida won that round. You know, there was a bit of a fun grappling exchange. And when it came to the clinch, Nickel wasn't really landing anything and Rainier Derrida was constantly working, landing a lot of knees to the body. But in that second round is when it really showed, because he was landing again a lot of knees to the body, evidently hurting Bo Nickel. And then there was a part where he had Bo Nickel up against the cage and was just twatting him with uppercuts to the body, and Bo Nickel was wincing and looked like he didn't want to be there whatsoever. And then like 10 seconds later, Rainier Derrida lands another big knee. Bo Nickel kind of walks into it, and that was all she wrote. And to no surprise, a lot of people are enjoying this, because Bo Nickel for a couple of years now has been talking a lot of shit, like he'll beat such and such, he'll beat such and such. The main one being Khamzat Chimaev, how we were saying he would, you know, destroy Khamzat Chimaev. Well, he just got destroyed before Khamzat Chimaev, and Khamzat Chimaev has fought tougher competition. And to be fair, even if Bo Nickel never decided to start talking smack and big himself up, he still would have had a lot of pressure on him and a lot of haters on him, considering his background in wrestling. He would have had all that pressure on him anyways, but he just didn't help himself. And to be honest, I don't think the UFC did him any favors by putting him on the main card of UFC 300 when he really didn't deserve it. But this video isn't solely going to be about Bo Nickel, him losing his O. It's going to be about undefeated fighters in general in 2025. Because fuck me, lads, 2025 has really taken a shit on undefeated prospects. I mean, to start the year off, we had a big pay-per-view, UFC 311. And to start it off on the early prelims, we had Rinya Nakamura suffer his first defeat. And he's quite young as well and quite talented. After this on the prelims, a very big hype train. Peyton Talbot suffered his first loss against Raoni Barcelos and just had no answer whatsoever to the grappling. And the fun part about that one, everyone was expecting Peyton Talbot to absolutely walk through Raoni Barcelos, and that certainly wasn't the case. And then, of course, on the main card, in the co-main, Umar Nurmagomedov suffered his very first loss in a very competitive, fun fight against Marab. And you know what? Nakamura and Talbot did look like utter dog shit in their fights, but Umar Nurmagomedov, I'm going to cut him some slack, because his was a championship fight, a big step up in competition in all fairness, and he did look really good in the earlier rounds, but once his gas tank was going, that was kind of, that was all over for him, really. And then a week later, we had a next victim of an undefeated fighter losing that O on their record, when Shara Bullet lost her decision against MVP. And yeah, he looked really shit in this fight, and then there was like rumors of him contemplating retirement and whatnot. But this was a big fight, you know, two strikers, bit of a boring one. It was all MVP's way. Shara Bullet had no answer whatsoever and didn't think, you know what, I'm gonna do what Ian Gary did. He just you know, he just let his pride take over, his ego take over. Thought, you know what, no, I can strike with him, even though he was getting outstruck rather comfortably by MVP. And yeah, he went on to lose a unanimous decision. And then we moved to the women's MMA, and we had the next Habib, Tatiana Suarez, and she lost to Zhang Weili. She had a decent first round, and then after that just got absolutely fucking battered. And then a few weeks later, we did have Gene Matsumoto, and in all fairness to him, he arguably could have won against Rob Font, and he did take it on short notice, and he did put in a good effort, so I won't slate him too much. He did put in a good showing for himself, and with the context of it being short notice and against a ranked veteran like Rob Font, you can't really argue with it. And then we get to UFC London, where we had a big heavyweight, Mick Parkin, who trains with Tom Aspinall, 10-0, and he lost to Marcin Tybura. In all fairness as well, Mick Parkin arguably won this one as well, but he didn't look that great. I don't think neither man in this fight looked that good. Mick Parkin having a bit of hype, being undefeated, and having a bit of a big test. It was a big test for him compared to everyone else who had fought. He should have done a lot better. He didn't look that good. And then we get to last night, where we had two undefeated fighters lose. I've already pointed out that Bo Nickel lost. He was the big name. But we also had Daniel Marcos lose to Montel Jackson. He lost a decision victory. Looked very pissed off when he lost as well, when I thought it was quite evident that Montel Jackson had won that one. Marcos didn't look that good, in my opinion. Was a bit of a shit fight as well. And then, of course, again, you have Bo Nickel in the co-main against Rainier Derrida. And with us being 5 months into the year of 2025 and a lot of undefeated fighters losing, my question is, who is next. So I'm going to name some undefeated fighters, and we're going to have a little chit chat about whether they'll lose next or not. Starting off, we have Khamzat Chimaev. Obviously, his next fight is DDP, a fucking massive fight. It's not confirmed, by the way. Let me just put that out there, but more than likely, that's what will happen next. That's a fucking big fight, and I think everyone kind of sees this. If Khamzat doesn't win within the first round, maybe 2 rounds, well, then DDP is taking it. So that is a big one for Khamzat Chimaev. Will he lose his? Oh, God knows. It's a very interesting matchup, though. I don't want to give a probability. I might give it like 50-50 because that is a hard fight to call, in my opinion. Next up, Ilia Topuria. Who's he fighting next? That's a big mystery. It could be Charles. It could be Islam Makhachev. If it's Charles, I favor Ilia Topuria remains undefeated. If it's Islam Makhachev, I still think he remains undefeated, but my certainty of that drops a lot more compared to the likes of Charles Oliveira. But Ilia Topuria, remember, he is undefeated as well. After this, if we go back down to the featherweight division, we have Movsar Evelev. He should be next for Volkanovski, and I do believe that Volkanovski beats him. But again, Movsar is undefeated, got some good names under his bout like Diego Lopez, Aljamain Sterling, and Arnold Allen. So he is proven, and we just need to see him in there next for a title. So we've got those 3 right there who should be fighting for a title. We're going to stay in the featherweight division. Lerone Murphy, he's very well rounded, a bit like a smaller Leon. I think he does have a draw. I think on his UFC debut, he did draw his first fight. Who he should be fighting next? Maybe Gene Silva. Who knows? But he has been looking really, really good. After this, we go to the welterweight division. Shavkat Rakhmonov. All depends when he's back from injury. This guy's just injury prone, and he's got a lot of hype. I do think he loses this year if he comes back. I don't know who he fights, but if he does come back, I think he does lose. I don't know who against, though. And then to clear it off, we have Michael Morales, who takes on Gilbert Burns in, like, what, 2 weeks, I believe? That's a big step up for Michael Morales. Still very young. He is quite well-rounded, has a lot of it, not hype, but he has a lot of momentum behind him right now, going up against Gilbert Burns, who I believe is still very dangerous. I'm very interested in that fight. I don't know who's going to win. I might go with Gilbert Burns on that one, but I'm not entirely sure. But it's good to know we've still got some undefeated fighters. Obviously, there's more undefeated fighters out there, like Taliesin Tahira, who takes on Derek Lewis in July, I believe. That's a big test for him as well. So there's a lot more undefeated fighters out there, but who do you think is going to lose their O next? And let me know in the comments, do you believe that 2025 is just a cursed year for undefeated talent? Well, that's me finished yapping now. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.